Hi everyone. I'm so sorry that this video is relatively late. But I've just been so preoccupied with fasting and just trying to strengthen my connection with God all in all. So I haven't really had any time to post a YouTube video, to record it, to edit it. I just have not had time for that. And that's why this video is so late. But I'm going to be talking about your intelligence and your level of intelligence and what is allowed to determine, if anything, what is allowed to determine your level of intelligence and what isn't. Because I feel like that's something I struggled with a majority of my life and I still am struggling with now. It's, are you intelligent? Are you smart? What is the basis? What's the criteria of being considered an intelligent person? Why do some people feel incredibly intelligent and others not? Why do some people think they're capable and other people don't? So I'm just going to be covering a variety of topics. Again, I'm going to try to keep these videos very short and sweet, concise, straight to the point. But yeah, apologies for the late upload, but I hope you guys enjoy this one. I want to make a point in saying that there is no one way to be intelligent. There's multiple kinds of intelligences, and that was stated through Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences theory, where he stated that a person does not have to be intelligent in only one field. They can be intelligent in a multitude of different fields and still be considered intelligent. So the problem that a lot of us have is creating school as kind of like a basis as to how smart we are. If I perform well in this class, then I am intelligent, but if I'm not performing well in this class, then I'm not smart. And so it kind of becomes like a loophole of you telling yourself you're smart in this class, but you're not smart in this class. So are you smart? And what I learned is that the negative will always outweigh the positive. So if you think that you're dumb in one class, all of the good that you're doing in any other class will all of a sudden be invalidated because you're like, hey, I'm not doing good in this. My GPA is not a 4.0. My GPA is not this. But you're not thinking about how much effort you're putting into the classes. You're not thinking about, maybe I'm smarter in another subject. Maybe I'm smarter in something else. For example, Howard Gardner stated that you can be intelligent when it comes to your body. You can be a very athletic person, or you can have intrapersonal intelligence, which is basically understanding yourself and understanding the people around you. That is a kind of level of smartness. And if you have that, then you're considered intelligent. But the thing is that a lot of us don't know that, because the unfortunate reality of society today and the way that intelligence is perceived by others is, if you're good in school, if you're accepted into this college, you're smart. If you're a multimillionaire or billionaire, you're smart. So it's like, it's all about how much money do you have and are you doing well in school? It's not about, is this person good at this? Is this person good at that? It becomes kind of like this very confusing equation. You know, it's like, if you get an A and you get a B, you're not smart because you got a B. Or if you got an A and then you got a D, you're all of a sudden dumb because you got a D. And it all goes back to how you perceive it. If you think that you're smart despite this failure, then that's perfect. But if you completely base your intelligence on one thing, one failure, then I don't think that's going to get you anywhere super far in life. I think that Howard Gardner did a really good job at grouping intelligences into different, very vague topics like inter and intrapersonal intelligences, bodily intelligence, naturalistic intelligence. I believe that's the intelligence when it comes to nature and understanding the world around you. And in a nature perspective. But to me, I think that there's just so much more that those different subcategories entail. For example, you have to want to learn. And I say this because a lot of people will learn something and expect that that something is going to get them wherever they want to be in their workforce. But if you're smart in a subject, you're always gonna learn. And I was reading in my book Mastery by Robert Greene that the only way for you to become a master at a certain subject is for you to love to learn about it. You're gonna always learn. You're always gonna come up with new questions. There's always gonna be new things. And that's honestly how people like Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton became so popular and known as the smartest people. It's because they asked questions and they question things that have never been questioned before. So I don't know what you people are expecting when you ask questions that everyone else asks, or when you do something that everyone else in the world is doing. I think that everyone needs to kind of tap into that creative spark that they have, the spark that they've been robbed of because of all of the rules and the structures that we were given, the criterias that we were given for doing certain things. I think that we need to learn how to break free from those and create our own criteria, our own ways to be successful, create our own ways to be smart. And once you can do that, I feel like you can get just so many places in life because, again, you're not limiting yourself by how smart you are. You're limiting yourself by the amount of creativity you allow for yourself to have. So be more creative and allow for those ideas to kind of flow in, but also try to put them into perspective. Like if you have an idea, try to implement it in the real world. Try to make something of it. Because I think that it's a lot of those unique ideas that turn into like multi-million-dollar businesses because no one's ever heard of them before. And they're so cool. One thing that I forgot to mention, but I really did want to mention, is that success and intelligence does not come if you're just sitting around and doing nothing. If you're just scrolling on TikTok all day, if you're scrolling on Instagram all day, you are not gonna get anywhere. And I think that that's important for people to learn because unfortunately in our world, a lot of people are going about their day-to-day lives spending hours on social media, hours on TikTok, hours on YouTube, hours doing miscellaneous things that aren't even benefiting them in a good way. Well, benefiting is a good thing, but anyway, I just wanted to say, take out the time to maybe read a new book or to read an article or look up something that you haven't looked up before. Just take out the time to learn something new, because when you take out the time and you dedicate time to actually doing something, then I feel like that's when you begin to kind of learn the most about it and gain the most intelligence or the most knowledge. Because every day, okay, for example, every day for 10 minutes, you open an article and you read about, for example, the human brain, the cognitive abilities. And after maybe a year of doing that, you're all of a sudden like a whiz when it comes to the cognitive abilities of the brain. And it's only 10 minutes. You have 60 minutes in an hour and you have 24 hours in a day. That is nothing. And you spend 10 endless minutes going and scrolling on social media like you're promised tomorrow. And the truth is that you're not promised tomorrow. So I always think about life like this. If I did not wake up tomorrow, would I be proud of what I did today? And if the answer is no, then I have to think of, okay, what can I do better? What could I have done better today to make myself proud if I passed away tonight, you know? And I think it really turns into kind of, it's you versus you, and nobody is coming to save you. So you need to get up off that bed, you need to get off social media and start doing something that'll help you. I mean, follow your passion. My physics teacher actually told me something that stuck with me, and he said that sometimes you don't have to follow your passion. Sometimes there's things you don't even know you are passionate about. Go into that job field. Go into that major in university. Figure something new out, and it's going to become so great. So I want to fill you guys in on something that's very interesting, I think, when it comes to intelligences, and that is emotional intelligence. I was watching, I believe Imam Ghazi, I don't know how to say his last name, but he was saying that when he marries a woman, he wants to marry a woman that is very emotionally intelligent. She sits at a table and she understands what these people are saying, how they're acting, and she can tell him, hey, do business with this person, do business with that person. And that's a real skill that people can have, just understanding others, and that falls under Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Well, it's no longer a theory, Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences. It falls under that category because you understand other people. I forget whether it's intrapersonal intelligence. I think it's intrapersonal intelligence, when you understand other people, when you're able to put yourself in their shoes. But that was so interesting to me because that was one of his basis, or his criteria that he had for the woman he wanted to marry, was that she had to be emotionally intelligent. And I think that a lot of women nowadays have a very high level of emotional intelligence. Unless obviously they're ignorant, but women are just very smart emotionally because they are more emotional creatures. Or we, I'm a girl. Women are more emotional creatures, and they're just more, I mean, all of their feelings are just not heightened, but they feel everything. So if something's off about someone, she'll notice. And I'm not saying that men don't have this quality, but I think it's more difficult for a man to achieve emotional intelligence than it is for women, because women are more empathetic towards others. I mean, if you put a dog on the street, this actually happened to me the other day. There was a dog on the sidewalk, and I literally pulled over, and I got out the car, and there was another person that parked right next to me. I was wondering who this person was, and it was another woman. And she was like, "Did you see the dog?" And I was like, "Yeah, is it your dog?" And she was like, "No, it's not my dog." And I was like, "That's so sweet." Like, we both thought of saving the dog together, and we were both women. There was no man that pulled over. But that was really interesting for me to, kind of learn that, women are just generally more emotional beings. I think that another way of being intelligent that's really interesting to me is being able to analyze certain situations. I think having analytical skills is, first of all, very important. And I didn't really pick up on analysis until this year, because in math, oh my gosh, I would struggle in math. But I would take like quizzes and tests, and I'd skip over the smallest of things. For example, I'd forget addition, I'd forget subtraction, and like, it would be such dumb little things that messed up my entire equation. But once I kind of started looking at something like, you don't need to rush through this, you want to get it done. And I would much rather get every question that I did slowly correct rather than burn through the test and get every question that I did wrong. So that in on itself is like a very, very cool kind of, just analysis in general, like being able to analyze a situation or being able to analyze a story. And I feel like it's your analytical skills that also fall into emotional intelligence. You can easily tell a liar when you have analytical skills. And I think it's because a liar just kind of does minuscule things that kind of show that they're a liar. For example, they'll twitch with their hands, or they'll become more sweaty, or they'll lose eye contact with you, and then they'll keep adding on to their story. They'll keep saying things that just don't make sense. And you realize that because you're analyzing the situation. And also another thing that I do, it's after I get into a fight with someone, or after something happens with me, I'll go back home, I'll write it down, and I'll analyze the situation. See, I can be very, very honest with myself. Minna, did you do this wrong? Did you do this wrong? Did you do this wrong? I will always stop and think. Sometimes I even go out of my way to ask outside people. For example, like, I always ask my best friend, I'm like, "Hey, like, did I do this wrong?" Because she can tell me a perspective that I'm not seeing, because sometimes I'm closed off and I don't see things from other people's perspectives. So I ask her, I'm like, "Hey, like, am I doing this wrong? Is this..." And she'll tell me. And so in that sense, I'm very appreciative for her. But also, I am analyzing the situation and saying, what could I have done better and what did I do wrong? So I just wanted to go back to being creative, because honestly, I love creativity. And when you're creative, you ask a lot of questions. Now, I think I might just contradict what I said earlier, but I said you ask a lot of questions. Maybe they're not meaningful questions, but ask the questions. I didn't mean don't ask the questions, because I promise you, asking questions is always going to end up being positive on your side. Rather than you completely not asking the question, it'll be a bad thing, because maybe you don't get the answer, and then all of a sudden you fail your test because you didn't get the correct answer to that question. Or maybe someone didn't answer your question, now you don't know how to go about that situation in your day-to-day life. That's kind of sad. But don't hesitate asking questions. And I know that a lot of people I know, they're so scared of asking questions because they're like, "Oh, well, what if these people think that this is a dumb question? So what? So what? Let people think what they want to think. Let them do what they want to do. After high school, you're never going to see these people ever again. I mean, unless you have your high school reunions, nobody's going to remember. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to do anything. Nobody's going to trash you on asking your question. And if they do, walk away. Walk away. And I think that a lot of people struggle with walking away from a situation. If you're uncomfortable, then leave. Leave that entire situation, because there is nothing forcing you to be there. But yeah, this might be a little bit controversial, but kind of go back to how you were as a kid. When you were a kid, you weren't afraid of anything, and because fear is taught, fear is something that's learned. You weren't afraid of anything. You weren't afraid of doing anything. You weren't afraid of asking questions. You weren't afraid of doing this. You weren't afraid of doing that. You just did. You went out and you explored. I know as a kid, I used to always go out and explore the forests, despite my parents saying not to. I didn't care, because I was a kid and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And I did it. And I learned so many lessons. I mean, we would break through from the neighbor's yard, and we got caught on like camera one time. That was really interesting. But that path, that very scary path, led to this beautiful lake. And you would have to cut from the front yard, run through the backyard, and make your way into the forest. And you would walk through maybe half a mile of forest till you got to that beautiful lake. And there was this nice little lake house, and it was so cute. And we would always go there. My brother's friends and I, or my friends, my brother and I, we would always go there. We were like this little group, and it was amazing. And I learned my lesson not to break through people's front or backyards, but I also learned that the path is never going to be easy. I mean, going through those forests was a little bit scary, but I did it anyway because I had an end goal. And I think that, again, setting goals for yourself is very, very important. If you're doing something and you don't know what you're doing, then maybe it's time to take a step back and reanalyze. What should I be doing? Why am I doing this? What's my end goal? Something that I believe is very important to mention is that a lot of people say that they're smart and not intelligent, but there's a clear difference between the word smart and intelligent. I think that there is a very negative connotation surrounding smart in my perspective, because when you say that someone's smart, your brain automatically thinks of, oh, they're school smart. They're smart in school. They're good at history. They're good at science. They're good at math. They're good at this. They're good at that. And it's all grouped into school or university or college or whatever you do. It's all about school and those letter grades and whatnot. But when you say that someone is intelligent, I feel like it's a more appropriate word, because you're not only talking about school, you could be talking about anything else. And again, for me, when I hear the word smart, oh, she's smart, I automatically think, oh, 4.1 GPA, good extracurriculars. But when I hear she's intelligent, I think of more than just school. I think of, oh, she does things outside of school that make her intelligent. She's emotionally intelligent. She's creatively intelligent. She's intelligent when it comes to nature. There are so many ways for a person to be intelligent. And I think that there's a very clear distinction between the two. Or we can kind of reinvent the word smart and use smart for not just school, but for people that are actually intelligent. But yeah, I think that's very important to mention, because if I say I'm smart, you're going to think of school. But if I say I'm intelligent, then you're going to think, oh, this girl knows what she's talking about. Before I end my video, I just want to say a couple of things that I think you should do to kind of become more intelligent. You're already so intelligent, and I love that for you, but there's always, always, always room for growth. So one, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No one's gonna bite you. No one's gonna hurt you. Ask your questions and ask them to whoever. Second of all, be curious. Definitely have that curiosity aspect to you, because once you're curious, you start questioning everything, and then sometimes you might not have an answer, and that's when you're gonna have to go out and you're gonna have to find your own answer for your own question, and then you'll make a groundbreaking discovery, and you'll end up being one of the most smart people in the world. How awesome is that? I mean, I would love to be known for something. Like, what if I found out that a new species could, like, save cancer? I mean, heal cancer. I mean, destroy cancer. What's that word for cancer? The word is cure. Curing cancer. Okay, anyway, moving on from that one. I think another thing that you can do is try to develop a level of emotional intelligence. Just try to go about day-to-day situations and kind of analyze how people are talking, how people are moving. It's actually really easy. It's not too hard of a skill to learn. Buy books. I love reading books. I'm a book girl. I will always buy a book and read a book. And I mean, okay, not everything you can learn in a book. I will be very, very honest. There is some things that you genuinely just can't read in a book. But actual implementation of the things that you read in books are pretty easy. Like, for example, for me, when I read The Laws of Human Nature, I mean, there were a lot of things that were in that book that I actually noticed in real life. And then, what was the book called? I forgot what the book was called. It's right next to me. Oh, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm actually currently rereading this book right now. I'm like halfway through. But in this book, I really, really, really learned how to go about navigating people. And I learned that a true and good business person is someone who doesn't know how to navigate business or finance or money. It's someone who knows how to market themselves and communicate with people. Because in the end, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about how much money you want to make. They care about themselves and how much money they're going to make. So whenever you say something, it kind of has to benefit them or has to include them for them to be really intrigued, really interested. And also just mention people's names because people love their name. People's names are the only thing they're going to understand in any language. So just mention a person's name for the hell of it. Be like, oh my gosh, are you blank? Are you Anna? Are you this? Are you that? And they'll be like, oh my god, wow, you remember my name. And then that's the start of a beautiful bond. And then all of a sudden you're a multi-billionaire because of Anna, and you're like, wow, all it took was remembering her name. Finally, I think it's time that we really learn from our failures. Because, have you guys heard the term, when you fail, get back up? I think you have, but it really makes sense to me now because, as I said with my math example, I would skip over little things like addition and subtraction, and I get the whole question wrong. So just learn from the failures that you've made, just as I did. And so now my math grade is actually good. So yeah, just learn from your past failures, build a level of emotional intelligence, and you'll be set. Now, I know that there are always going to be people that are smarter than you. You should not strive to be smarter than anyone. You should strive to be the smartest version of yourself. Because again, everyone's different. Nobody's the same. Nobody thinks the same. Nobody does this the same. Nobody does that the same. Nobody acts the same. Nobody walks the same. Nobody talks the same. Nothing is the same. Everything is different. The only thing that's very similar between you and the person that might be sitting next to you is the fact that God gave us the same ability. He gave us all the same brain to work with, and we are capable of doing the exact same things, but it's our personalities that make us different. It's us wanting to do different things. It's us wanting to act a different way. And yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching my almost a week late video. I am very appreciative. But I will see you next time when I post, which hopefully won't be late. Let's pray. But I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your night or rest of your day. And I wish the best for you all. And learn about this because it's your greatest asset.